Being a customer-centric company that is led by the market, basically, what we've done is we've taken our insights and we've transformed them into smart prompts. So we basically engineer prompts, and then we use those prompts in a variety of different Gen AI models, both LLMs, contextual models, and diffusion models, meaning visual models. So we can not just come up with the data points, the insights, the recipes, the recommendations. We can come up with actual, meaningful, valuable marketing materials, marketing outputs.
Asaf Yanai, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Really excited to be sharing another episode with you here on my show. I'm particularly excited about the space that you're in, the journey that you're in. So really thank you for being here and thank you for taking the time.
Sure. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited about the opportunity as well.
Amazing. So before we dive into Allison AI and what you're doing with video analytics and helping organizations with really understanding what really makes for great engagement and great user experience in terms of human to digital media interaction, tell me a little bit about yourself and your connection to this space.
Yeah. So first, I'm almost 36 years old, married, one kid. My professional life was always around online marketing. In the past 15 years, that's what I've been doing. And actually, Allison is the third company I'm co-founding around that space. So the online marketing area is no stranger to me, nor entrepreneurship around online marketing. But actually, we're going to speak about Allison today. Actually, the concept of Allison, the idea behind it, came to me through my experiences, working in the past 15 years with some of the biggest brands in the world, from Procter Gamble, Unilever, to, big traditional banks like Bank of America and HSBC, through online first companies from Tinder and OkCupid and Waze and HelloFresh and others. And my experiences working with them actually kind of sparked the idea and sparked the concept of Allison.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is the core problem that you identified with organizations like Unilever and others? What was obviously the context of user engagement and engaging with customers in meaningful ways? That's top of mind and I guess is a big driver for creating results in terms of product engagement. What is the big gap that you've identified working with them?
Yeah, good question. So, look, from what we're seeing and what actually happens today online is that every single brand, every single company, every single enterprise that wants to scale or sell their service, product, etc., to their users, target audiences, they have to use online marketing, right? That's one of the main focus areas for marketing today. Facebook, Google, TikTok, Snapchat, and other types of platforms. These are the main drivers for sales, revenues, and even brand awareness and brand positioning these days. Now, what we're seeing today is that 90%, of the creatives that we see online are actually videos. So there is a clear focus on videos from platform side, right? Google, YouTube, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, etc. They're all prioritizing video content over other types of content. To us as brands, as advertisers or enterprises, we prefer those platforms and we prefer video to engage with our audiences because we can deliver multiple messages, because it's interactive, because we can hyper personalize the videos and the content. And also us as users, the other side of those platforms, the other side of the advertising is meeting the users. And also us as users, we prefer video content to engage with. So here comes the value or here comes the challenge, right? how do we as brands or as advertisers, how do we know what's the right video composition or what's the right video content that we should be engaging with our audience at? So the simple answer is that we don't really know. We think we know, but we don't really know. Typically, we have a concept in mind, a theory or a hypothesis, and we want to put it to test. We want to see if it's actually performing. So every single company on earth are basically bound to use a wasteful, inefficient, even ancient process that's called A/B test, right? That's the best way of testing creatives, video content, ads today. But again, A/B tests are a thing of the past. And let me tell you maybe even a very quick short story about that. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs myself, but my father, he studied marketing in the 80s. Now, he's a marketing expert, marketing veteran. And when he studied everything and when he practiced marketing, everything was offline. So a few years ago, I had an unconventional, unorthodox chat with my dad, not about when I'm having kids and, what's up with the family, but more about work. So I kind of questioned him, like, Dad, back then in the 80s, when you had marketing campaigns, how did you validate? How did you test? How did you, brought your concept or hypothesis to life when it comes to the marketing activities? So he looked at me in a very funny way and he said, Asaf, it's easy. We A/B test. And this was in the 80s, right? So what we're learning from this is that, 40, 50, even 60 years later, everything is digital, everything is online, ones and zeros, but we are still using, wasteful, inefficient manual processes like A/B test. And this is exactly the first concept or the first mission that we set to ourselves at Allison to completely revolutionize and replace this entire process with data and AI.
How do you do that in video? Because there's one thing to A/B test in websites. You can create cool heat maps and see where the user goes and the mouse clicks. How do you do that in a world where there's a piece of content? Sometimes it's long, sometimes it's very, very short. It's expensive to create. Maybe you'll share that it's getting less expensive, but that's a teaser. But how does that work?
So you're absolutely right. It takes a lot of time to create a content. It costs a lot of money. You need skills and expertise. And also, A/B tests. And this is my humble personal theory in a way, but I think that in the past few years, the reason we saw marketing teams grow so much and eventually consist of the biggest department, the biggest team, the biggest expense within an enterprise is because of those operations that are extremely heavy in terms of headcount, time, resources that you need to put into place to create a successful with just an A/B test operations. So again, at Allison, what we do is completely different. Instead of testing multiple creatives, we basically plug in to your existing ad accounts and we scan every single piece of creative that you've ever tested, ever experimented with, ever launched, or ever tried. Then, using 10 different AI engines, we run a process called feature extraction. We're basically identifying thousands and thousands of features from those videos, like sound, voiceover, background colors, buttons, logos, emotions, facial expressions, characters, etc. And then we're basically correlating those features with the actual performance. So once correlated, basically this mechanism completely replaces the A/B test, but it generates a lot more efficiency because we can tell our customers exactly what's driving their performance within specific campaigns, domains, areas, products, use cases, concepts, etc. So they don't have to test. They have to create a version. Then we already know that it's going to succeed. And then the platform basically feeds itself with an ongoing feedback loop. So even our initial outputs that are already optimized are then being able to optimize again and again and again in a feedback loop. So that's how we do it on video.
Hey, can you share an example of what an actionable insight could look like for a large organization as a result of Allison AI's product? What would be I guess if are you working directly with the creative directors, or is it with the advertiser campaigns? Who is sort of the persona that makes most use of the insights that you're gathering?
So it's another good question, but also leads me to another gap that we see today in the industry. So another gap is that typically the media team, the marketing team, are completely detached from the design or the studio teams. So basically there's a disconnect between our research, our optimization, our media operations, and the creative ones. So I'm guessing you already know my answer, but Allison, another, extreme value that we bring to the table is that both marketing or media teams and the creative or design teams are both the personas and both the users within the same platform. So first they can communicate between each other, between the two different teams, but it also bridging the gap, the language barrier gap between media language and media metrics and design or visual components and elements.
Absolutely. So walk me through a little bit what you're saying in this space. I think one of the interesting drivers that are happening is that there's the notion of A/B testing is only as useful as the velocity in which you can experiment and get the insights, but then actually put them into practice. So if you're creating one creative per month, then the velocity at which you can improve is low. But in a world in which generative AI potentially helps you generate a lot of creatives, and you can actually guide the generation based on the insights that you have, then you can actually really reap the benefits of A/B testing. Is this already happening? I mean, where are we at in terms of the technological progression and adoption of creation tools, do you think, that empower the insight to reap the benefits from the insights that you're generating?
So, yeah, I think it's already happening. We're at Allison, we're the forefront of this revolution, or the forefront of this change. Basically, what we're seeing is that most of the companies, they're still using those manual, heavy, operations like A/B test. Although, for example, at Allison, we already, bring new tools, new capabilities that are far more efficient, quicker, takes less costs and expenditures, and it's already live. But let me maybe give you another example of one of our customers, so I think it will help you understand how this really benefits our customers. So, we're working with some of the biggest names, in the industry, Fortune 500 companies, from LG Electronics to Bosch to Warner Brothers and Ferrera Candy Company, for example. Now, imagine that they run A/B tests all the time. Now, let's say they have 5 creatives in an A/B test, and eventually one is the winning creative, right? So typically they throw away all the 4 other versions that they've tried, and this becomes complete waste. But then comes again the question I started with. Okay, this is the winning version of the A/B test. How do we know if it's the optimal version? So we still don't know. So again, there is a continuous A/B test going on there. Now, one of the outputs at Allison is this insight, this recommendation we talked about. And imagine that the level of granularity is infinite. Okay, so for example, with LG, we can help them understand that they need to create 15 seconds videos for Facebook. And those 15-second videos should have between 3 and 4 scenes in total. And we can tell them exactly what is the composition, what is the story, the script, but also the elements, the visual features that should appear in this type of video. So think of it as a recipe, right? As a recipe for a winning video or a successful video based on your own business goals, KPIs, audiences, users, etc. But there's another thing here, because we've also realized that in every online marketing campaign that is successful, there is a part that is done manually and takes a lot of our attention. And this part is called competitive research or competitive intelligence. Looking at our direct competitors' creatives and understanding from this what they're leveraging, if it's working for them, and if we, as the brand, if we tried those things before and what was the outcome. This entire process is done manually today, and it's broken because you have to manually go to different platforms, different areas, and with your bare eyes try to understand what's going on. It's almost impossible. So I'm very proud to say it, and more so in this podcast. But Allison, we're the only company in the world that runs this entire process, not just automatic, but at scale. So we scan every single one of your competitors' creatives, and we'll show you what are the gaps between you and your competitors, and then we'll push it to the recommendation as a form of an insight, as a form of this ingredient in this recipe. And when we've asked our customers if they're using the insights, if it's helpful, if they're being enriched by it, they said, look, this is phenomenal. There's no way on earth that our teams could even, digest or come up with this level of granularity and those level of insights. But these are insights. These are data points. This is not a tool. And we need a tool that taps into our existing workflow so we can manage the entire process and not just fragments of this process by different tools. So, being a customer-centric company that is led by the market, basically, what we've done is we've taken our insights and we've transformed them into smart prompts. So we basically engineer prompts, and then we use those prompts in a variety of different Gen AI models, both LLMs, contextual models, and diffusion models, meaning visual models. So we can not just come up with the data points, the insights, the recipes, the recommendations. We can come up with actual, meaningful, valuable marketing materials, marketing outputs. For example, a brief, right? How long does it take us to write a brief? And do we have actual data points to back up our briefs? Typically, not really. So at Allison, it's not just that it takes a second to generate a smart brief, but it's based on billions of data points correlated with the business goals and KPIs you're trying to achieve. Think of it as a brief from the future. And then after the brief, there's another process that is typically being done manually, and it's called storyboarding or storyboard, taking the brief and bring it to life, right? Visualize how the video is going to look like. This is typically done by the creative teams. And again, based on their subjective experiences, based on brainstorming, etc. At Allison, we completely automate this entire process as well. Based on the briefs and based on the prompts, we also generate automatically on demand storyboards that are far more visualized, far more exciting, and far more relevant for your audiences as a customer. And lastly, the holy grail of advertising, the holy grail of closing the loop between the research, the analysis, and then the production. We are now also generating a video. Not just a video, not just the raw footage, but actual commercials and actual ads that are also editable and be able to modify the output, the videos, not by creating or designing, but by playing around with data points and insights.
Awesome. So effectively taking the core generative AI use cases, combining them with the analytics that you're already creating using the predictive AI models, and then combining them to create better engaging creatives. So very excited to see where the space is headed. Very excited to see where Allison AI is headed. Thank you again, Asaf, for taking the time to meet with me and for sharing your product and your vision and the journey. Really appreciate it. Very timely. It's all happening now. So run fast, and I'm excited to see you in action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.